This meeting will come to order. This is the July regular hearing of the City of Bloomington Transportation Commission. Can we have the secretary call the roll?
Did you say roll? Sorry.
Yes, the roll, please.
Davis.
Here.
Kopic.
Here.
Stossberg.
Here.
Bolin.
Here.
Flaherty. Here. Stromitis.
Here.
Anyone attending online?
Currently have anyone online.
All right, we have a quorum. We'll conduct our agenda as follows. Under reports and communications, we'll hear from commissioners and from staff, specifically a staff memo on the process for selecting a parking kiosk vendor. Under cases, we'll hear TCR 2616, a Title II amendment on Transportation Commission appointments. Under discussion of topics not on the docket, we will hear from commissioners, resolution by me to submit findings regarding the 2026 Walker Parking Study and to form an annual report task force, and from staff, an update on Local Motion Grant 2025 and introduction to Local Motion Grants for 2026, and also an annual report on Safe Streets and Roads for All, or SS4A. And then we'll have general public comment, and then we will adjourn. Let's start now with reports from commissioners. Are there any reports from commissioners to my right? To my left? Did you have a report? No? Okay. We now go to reports from staff. Let's hear about the selection process for our parking kiosk vendor. I see Michelle Wall, Parking Services Director. Hello.
Hello, how are you guys?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good.
Michelle Wall, Parking Service Director for the City of Bloomington. In summary, Parking Services has provided the Transportation Commissioners with 2 demonstrations of integrated parking management platforms as attached in the following staff memo. Arrive Pulse, accompanied with a written statement provided by Josh Dieter, is affiliated with Floberg Kiosk System. Elevate Populous Brief is accompanied with a written statement by Braxton Ratliff and is affiliated with the IPS Kiosk System. The design of both platforms aligns with the recommendations detailed in our 2026 Walker Parking Rate Study and Comprehensive Review. The use of each platform is conditional on the adoption of specified kiosk technology and cannot be substituted. Also, we have launched on July 8th 2 of these kiosks in our lobby for public use to try them out, to see them, and to take a short survey. Thank you. Also, by the way, both representatives from IPS and Arrive are in the audience. Thank you. For questions.
Okay, are there any questions for staff on this item? To my left? Don't be shy. You have a question?
Do we have the opportunity to ask questions of the vendors?
Yes, I think that's the idea.
All right. Yes, I do have a question. I'm Mark Stossberg. I recently worked for a transportation software company that was moving into the parking space. Part of my role was to vet our vendors. So I have some questions along this line. For Arrive, you're based in Sweden?
Yeah, sorry.
Are they online or are they in?
Yeah, are they here?
Oh, is your mic on?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, the mic is on, it's just kind of low.
Okay, get really close to the mic
Sure.
and maybe turn your mic on.
Oh, sorry.
Start over.
Sorry.
Just start.
I have some questions for Arrive. I work in the transportation software field, and particularly one of my roles was to vet our vendors. So, Arrive, you're based in, may I have your name?
Yeah, hi, Matt Brooker, Regional Director. So Arrive does have headquarters in Sweden as well as Atlanta, Georgia, and several U.S. offices.
And for Bloomington, Indiana, as a customer, would the data be stored in the United States or would it be stored overseas?
Here in the United States.
Okay. Do you have any security certifications such as ISO 27001 or SOC 2 Type 2 that would govern data privacy or data security?
We do, yes. We're fully PCI compliant. We do have SOC compliance as well. Happy to follow up with whatever certifications the body may like to see.
Okay, thank you. I didn't see those on your website. And questions for IPS?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
May I have your name?
Braxton Ratliff.
Thank you. And you are based in the U.S.?
Yeah, IPS is based in San Diego, California.
And I saw on your website you already have the PCI DSS certifications?
Yes, sir.
Do you have other data or privacy certifications like ISO 27001?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Oh, great. Thank you. I think those were my primary concerns. I was checking on the websites to see
Sure.
if you had the certifications. Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
sir. Appreciate it.
Questions to my right from commissioners? Okay. Commissioner Davis.
I'd like to hear from both of you about what accessibility features these systems have. I've tried them both, and Michelle and her staff told me what they knew, but I don't believe we had the full suite of accessibility features on either machine that's here in town. So I'd like to know what you have for blind or visually impaired users.
Good evening, Josh Dieter with the Rye Regional Sales Manager. Yes, we do have full ADA compliance in terms of height of our machines, as well as separate configurations in terms of color, in terms of hearing impairment. We have the ability to add audio jack for auxiliary accessibility, as well as a speaker system to assist with guiding you through our payment process. In addition, we do have a 24/7, 365 support line as well via IVR that can support making payments over the phone, as well as paired with our Park Mobile application that would have the ADA compliant settings already programmed into the individuals. But all of our machines do come fully stocked with our ADA compliance as well as the PCI compliance mentioned earlier.
So the fact that the machines here didn't have those features, or did they and I just didn't see them?
You are correct that the audio jack would be custom and build. We do build our machines to service the towns and clients that we meet with. So once we have all the configuration requirements and requests, we would custom build it and make sure that it does allow. Our stock machine here does not have the audio jack. You are correct.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Oh, let's hear from the other vendor.
It's going to be more or less the same. I mean, we meet all ADA compliance that you guys would run into. I mean, federal regulations mandate that we have. In terms of standing it up, in terms of the demo environment, not something that commonly requests, but we would be more than accommodating to, adhere to any ADA compliance that you would have on the street, height requirements like the folks from Arrival were saying, anything on the back end, call-ins, blind, hearing impaired, color blindness, anything that you would have related to that. So, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. I'm sorry, it's not a, let's see, I did want to give each vendor an opportunity to just generally speak on behalf of their product, since we didn't really get a sense of, in addition to what you submitted, if you would just like to say a few words in general explaining your product and why you think it would fit the city. I'd be happy to start with Arrive. Just a general overview of your product and why you think it would work for us.
Absolutely, thank you, yes. So very similar to the parking department's initiative of Park Simple, our goal and initiative as a company is to assist your city in becoming more livable through an accessible parking payment provider that allows you to have full control, availability, insight to your on-street city inventory, occupancy, and be able to show the proper balance. So with the tools that we provided, with our Flowbird hardware machine, as well as Arrive Pulse and Insights as the back office services for additional parking studies, research, and collaboration. In congruence with our Park Mobile application is already on street, it will allow a simplified platform to update rates, have event rates, have progressive rates, and be able to accompany all of your constituents' needs as they go on an ongoing basis.
I would just add to that, Arrive is our parent company, but essentially the Park Mobile application is one of our core services that's been operating here in Bloomington for many years, and currently over half of the parking revenue collected through the on-street system is coming in through the mobile app, and that's the direction that we see most cities heading toward as more and more people adopt the app. So by layering on our infrastructure as well, which is also the most widely used throughout the U.S. and in other major and mid-sized and small cities, really provides the parking department with one place where they can manage operations, but also groups like this body to evaluate real ground truth data, not just better visualization of transaction and other data that is in the system already, but through our Insight solution, which is capturing actual occupancy at the block. Those are blind spots. That's data that doesn't often get collected. If someone parks and they don't pay and they haven't gotten a ticket, you don't have that in the data, but the solution we're proposing folds that in and includes that so that decisions can be made on what's actually happening at the curb. And then you can evaluate and see what the impact of those was on reducing congestion, creating turnover, supporting businesses. So just better visibility, better tools for the team.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mr. Ratliff from Elevate?
Yeah, so, I mean, we, in parking, we all know each other. We all know these guys. I mean, I could sit here and regurgitate all the things in terms of what we can offer in terms of data and analytics, and we can provide all that. IPS has been in this city for, over a decade. We've been a good partner with the city. The city's been a good partner to us. My message would be why IPS is that, we are at a state now where I really think that we are truly becoming partners with cities and municipalities, and this would be one that would mean a ton to us. And so, not to bore you, you're going to see analytics and data and how a pay box works and how a machine works, but truly at the end of the day, what we're offering is a true partnership and how we can better serve the city of Bloomington and the people that live here. I live in my own city and I deal with parking, and I know nobody wants to pay for parking. Parking's not the coolest thing. So we truly believe that what we can provide is a true partnership, and we can get into the analytics and the way we can save you money and save you do all these cool things. But we want to be partners with the city of Bloomington and help the people here at a very baseline level. So.
I'm not sure any of us get into parking to be cool per se, but
yeah, I always compare it when I talk to Michelle. I always say it's like a referee at a basketball game. You kind of just want the referee to be in the background and let the.
I mean, to their credit, Parking Services here makes it cool, but is cool with it.
Well, one of the best teams in the country right here. I go all over the United States, so you got one of the best groups around. Just for the record.
Oh, go on.
That's
no,
true.
Just kidding. Thank you. I appreciate the presentation.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
A couple of questions for Michelle Wall. Ms. Wall, what is the timetable for the decision? You began this in June, I guess, after the report came?
Yeah, so we were about 6 months behind, and there's no timetable.
Okay.
It's the conversation between Transportation Commission, the community, and the council.
Well, at least you have, you're saying that the public testing will be available through mid-August. Does that mean perhaps that we'll convene again in September to discuss details, or
Possibly
what did
could,
you
or we
prefer?
might extend the survey. There's only, I believe right now, 12 people that's taken the survey. So we encourage everybody to spread the word, and we want their feedback.
Okay.
We need their feedback
Okay.
to make a collective decision.
Regardless of the vendor, it is your hope, I guess, that all the prior data we've had will be integrated into a new system?
Yes.
Okay, that's great.
Yes.
And am I hearing correctly from both vendors that I mean, we made a choice back in 2013 not to integrate the meters with Park Mobile. Are both of their presentations, or both of their offers automatically integrating with Park Mobile?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions? Ms. Stromaitis, Commissioner Stromaitis.
Maybe yes, why, we're only looking at the like single block machines and we're not looking at the like parking meters by parking space?
So currently, the Walker report, the study, suggested kiosks.
Okay.
So I mean, that's not off the table. I mean, if the community wants meters, then we'll discuss meters. But right now, the Walker report stated that they would recommend kiosks to lower the infrastructure on the street.
Okay, thank you. And then for the folks from Flowbird or whatever it is, I just had a question about your relationship between, there's like Flowbird for transit systems payments and you guys, and then there's also Arrive, and was curious about, like, I know in Indianapolis, kind of the TVMs all shut down very abruptly, and I know that's related to Flowbird, and was just wondering if you could talk to the relationship between the different entities.
Yeah, happy to provide clarity there. So Flowbird is a manufacturer of parking kiosks, ticket vending machines, those kind of things, and Park Mobile, mobile payment platform, merged last year to form Arrive. So there's a little clarification on the brands. Yes, those would be the machines used in Indianapolis. I don't have context specifically on the situation you're referring to on transit, but we do have a transit business unit who supports transit operations. Happy to follow up with more information about what you're referring to.
Did I hear that correctly, that Flowbird merged with Park Mobile?
Correct.
Oh, okay, that's news to me. All right, any further questions from commissioners on the status of the parking kiosk vendor selection process? Seeing none, we thank both vendors for their presence here today, and we look forward to working with you both in this further discussion.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's move now to cases. We have now TCR 2616. Who is here to present? Well, if it isn't, Councilmember Hopi Stossberg. Hello, Councilmember Stossberg. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Hopi Stossberg, District 3 City Council, and I'm here to talk about proposed Transportation Commission membership changes that I'm making kind of in conjunction with the Committee on Council processes. So you can, it's like next slide. Let's see, there we go. So I wanted to start with the purpose of the commission, which of course I'm not changing, but I wanted to specifically highlight that the purpose of the commission is guiding the city's transportation endeavors through a comprehensive framework which seeks to provide adequate and safe access to all right-of-way users as kind of the primary mission, you could say, of your body. And when we created the Transportation Commission last year, there was a lot of discussion that I had, both in public at city council meetings, and then also privately with colleagues and staff about the importance of the inclusion of representatives from Monroe County Community Schools on the body of the Transportation Commission, that MCCSC manages transportation for about 10 to 12,000 students a day during the school year in Bloomington, Monroe County. And of course, a lot of that happens within city limits. And so somebody deeply invested in Monroe County Community Schools transportation would be a really apt addition to this body. And so this led to, in the original membership of the commission, including language of preference for an MCCSC-related representative. And I had spoken with the MCCSC superintendent at the time, and she was excited and recommended one of her cabinet, I think, apply for the position, and they were not ultimately qualified because of a residency issue. They did not live within city limits, and all of the appointments that were related to that were only for within city limits. And so at that point, once that problem came out, we started going like, oh, do we still care about that? And should we do something differently? And so the Committee on Council processes started discussing this issue. So what follows in terms of proposal is kind of what came out of those discussions. So I just wanted to go through everything that I might be changing in this. And the first thing, of course, is not substantive. It is capitals. And we had this whole discussion last week at the Committee on Council Processes meeting about whether these different bodies should be capitalized or not. And that discussion, I will say, is ongoing. That's why this is a draft. So don't ask me questions about this right now, because that is a discussion that neither you nor I honestly need to make, and I don't think it matters either way, as long as it's consistent. So the first real change comes with number 6, and it might look like we're eliminating number 6, but really we're just changing the order of things. So in order to get that MCCSC person, we have a special seat for them dedicated. The mayor is on board with appointing this person. So I will go ahead and read it for those who may not be able to see the slides. One member appointed by the mayor shall be an employee of the Monroe County Community School Corporation involved in student transportation. The Monroe County Community School Corporation superintendent shall recommend up to 3 applicants to the mayor for consideration. There are no residency requirements for this appointment. They will be qualified for the appointment by merit of their employment with the Monroe County Community School Corporation. Oh, okay. And so then, of course, if we go back here, this previous number 6, 2 members appointed by council with experience using forms of travel other than personal motor vehicles, that moves to number 7, okay? And you can see the original number 7 did have that preference for application for somebody related to MCCSC, and also had a second potential preference as a member of a community organization dedicated to serving a marginalized group. So number 6 became number 7, and then we created a number 8 to have that additional seat that was in number 7 continue. It will be appointed by Common Council, and once again, the mayor supported that she take the seat, the MCCSC appointed seat, and leave Common Council with the residency appointed seat, where the preference will be a member of a community organization dedicated to serving marginalized groups, especially safety marginalized transportation users. And then the other thing, and so this is a relatively new change, so if you read the packet too early, it might not have been in there, because I worked on this weekend, because at the CCP meeting last week, it was also discussed that currently the terms on Transportation Commission are not staggered. So right now there are several terms that are set to expire January 31st of next year. And so in an effort to stagger those terms, the Novak report recommends staggering, generally speaking. It's good for consistency. So this is, you can say, a very first draft at proposal of how to stagger. Once again, we have some capitals that we're fixing, and then I changed, instead of members appointed from the Council for Community Accessibility, I said members appointed by the mayor, which is more inclusive because it includes both the Council for Community Accessibility seat and also this MCCSC seat. And that generally those will be 2-year terms, but starting next year, so with the fresh terms, 2 of the council appointments will just have a single-year term, and the third will be a 2-year term, and then one of the mayor's appointments will be a single-year term, and the other one will be a 2-year term. And so that will, after next year, allow for staggering. And I think that's it. I think the only other thing that I want to mention that I forgot about is that none of this would go into effect until the current residency appointed seats expire, which is January 31st of next year, okay? And then everything else in the code, powers and duties, procedure, scheduling, and staff, there are no changes proposed in that. So any questions or comments at this point?
Thank you for the presentation, Councilmember Stossberg. Are there questions on this resolution to my right? Commissioner Flaherty.
Thank you. The new paragraph 8, which references groups serving marginalized residents, but especially safety marginalized transportation users, that used to be in a paragraph that had it was one in a handful of considerations, and just wondering like what your perspective is on so for for a dedicated seat for, with this priority for appointment, like what type of organizations are you thinking of in Bloomington that would meet the definition of serving safety marginalized transportation users? Do you have any in mind?
Well, that's a great question. I don't necessarily have any in mind because, for the sake of full transparency, I just took this one and replicated language. I did hear from the Office of the Mayor. So I originally had all three of those folks in number 7 and included both of those preferences for appointments all together in the same paragraph. And at the request of the administration, they really wanted to set out that serving marginalized groups as a second, I'll say, standard. And it is valuable to note that I did make sure to put preference for appointment in those as opposed to a requirement for appointment, just in case there's somebody that you can't find. In terms of marginalized groups, I think that we have a lot of marginalized groups that exist in the world, right? We can think about Black and Brown, we can think about age, we can think about ability, so we can think about like Stone Belt, for example. Those folks might be safety marginalized. We can think about Beacon and the unhoused, because those folks are also safety marginalized, they're more vulnerable. We can think about El Centro, for example, because they work with immigrants, and right now immigrants sure are a little bit more vulnerable in this world. So I think that there are several organizations that could potentially be, but I wasn't necessarily thinking of one in particular. And in addition, it says a member of a community organization. And we could play with that language, but in my mind, member of a community organization could be somebody who works there. It could be somebody who's served by that organization. It could be a volunteer or a board member. It could be a lot of different types of people. It wouldn't necessarily have to be a professional in that space.
Thank you.
Sure. Other questions?
Questions to my left from commissioners? Anybody? All right, I've got two, I think. One is, can you go back to the slide about MTCSC? It says the superintendent shall recommend. And a problem that just occurred to me is that they being a separate jurisdiction, our code can't bind a superintendent. So this shall here may be inappropriate. I don't know, like it doesn't really have meaning here. You're saying you want them to make the recommendation, but we can't make them. Do you see what I mean? Maybe it's a may here, or rather shall be limited to recommending up to 3 applicants. But it's, I mean, how do we bind the superintendent to make this recommendation to the mayor in the first place?
At this point, I've spoken with Superintendent Marquet, Dr. Winston, and she was going to try to tune in on Zoom today, and so maybe she can speak to the current intention. She is very on board. I think you're potentially right, though, and so this is a question, honestly, to bring up with attorneys and legal, is whether we should change that from shall to may or will.
I just want to bring that to your attention now because it's problematic, not with this situation. I'm sure that Superintendent Winston is on board and willing to cooperate. It's just that, again, we can't bind, a city code can't bind a non-city employee. So fix that.
I'll talk with the attorneys about the best way to be accurate there.
The other question is, and I think I've mentioned this to you at the council processes meeting, despite appearances, I think that we're doing pretty well in getting at least 6 members present. And I wonder if you thought about expanding the commission by 2 members rather than repurposing a seat. I say this because when Parking Commission was created in 2017, we had very specific limits on, for example, 2 seats had to be merchants within the meter zone, and those proved to be very hard to fill. And so I wonder if maybe expanding so that you can get a very specific appointment in, because this dais can hold 11, and as long as we have 6, we could have quorum to make decisions. I'm a little concerned about so many specific appointments that the commission becomes that much more inflexible in staffing itself. Do you have any thoughts about that?
I think the only thoughts I have are pretty much the same ones that I shared at the CCP. At this point, that's not what the CCP thought would be a good way to go. There was concern about not having the applicants. And so I think the conclusion that we came to at that point was to leave it at 9 for now and wait and see. And if there seemed to be a plethora of applicants that would provide, I'll say, a diverse representation. Because if we have like 5 or 6 applicants and they're, I mean, if we look at, oh, it's not moving for me. Anyway, if we look at the current number 7, which is the struck out up there, you know, if we have 5 or 6 applicants for 2 seats, but they all use bicycling as their primary method of as their alternate primary method of transportation, they're not necessarily going to have like a diverse set of kind of views that might be most useful for y'all, or if they all live in the same area of town, or if they're all the same age, or whatever it is. But if there's, you know, a lot of different applicants, and there's a transit rider, and there's a cyclist, and there's a walker, and there's a young person, and an older, you know what I mean? Then I think that there was that openness to the idea of expanding it. So for now, CCP was like, not at the moment, but we're leaving that possibility open.
Okay, heard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions from commissioners before we go to the public on this resolution? Commissioner Flaherty.
Thank you. I wanted to follow up on the mayoral appointment as well. First of all, I just wonder if, like, reversing who has the responsibility there. So, like, if the mayor shall request a list of nominees, you know, of a maximum of 3 applicants, you know, from the MCCSC superintendent. The other thing, I'm also mindful of past experience and how these things change over time. It's great that the school corporation is excited and on board, but we don't know, you know, what the future holds. And there was a time when the Commission on Sustainability had a, you know, ex officio seat voting for IU sustainability director. That seat over time became one that wasn't really filled. We even kind of accepted not the director, but, you know, their designee, and then it turned out that was really hard to sustain, and you know, just through different directorships over time, they just kind of didn't see the value in it anymore and didn't prioritize it, and that caused quorum issues and other, you know, challenges for the commission. And so, again, I do wonder if even adding an additional sentence that's like, in the event no qualified applicant meeting this criteria can be found, you know, the mayor shall, you know, make an appointment. Meeting some other criteria, you know, keeping in mind the criteria in paragraph 7 and 8 or something like that, just so that, like, we don't run into like this block in code where, for whatever unforeseen reason, like, we just can't fill a seat, you know, for months and months on end.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I wrote down both of those language suggestions, and I'll wordsmith that a little bit and go back to CCP and all the things.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Any further questions, commissioners, before we go to public comment? Seeing none, thank you. Councilmember Stossberg. Is there any member of the public who would like to speak to TCR 2616? If so, please come to the podium, state your name, and sign in for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. If you are online, please use the raise hand function, and we'll call on you in due order. Is there anyone who would like to speak to TCR 2616? I don't see anybody in the room coming to the podium. Anybody online raising their hand? Last call for public comment on TCR 2616. Going twice. And we're back to the commission. Is there any debate on TCR 2616? To my right. To my left? Okay. I'm just going to say that the commission did have more applicants than it had seats. I mean, I remember being in a group of 3 and being interviewed en masse, and there were 3 people right before us. Not everybody who was interviewed was appointed to the commission. I don't think that this commission is suffering from a lack of applicants, which is why I'd like to ask Councilmember Stossberg and the council in general to consider maybe amending the language to say 9 to 11 members, that if we were to expand, first, we wouldn't have to expand past 9, but we could if there were enough applicants present. Whether it was 10 or 11 members, it would still require a 6-member quorum. But adding a member or 2 would preserve the people who some of whom have served for a very short time on this commission, while expanding the diversity of the commission. It's an opportunity for there to be more points of view without having to choose between points of view. And 11 isn't too big a number. Again, this dais was built for it, and we regularly meet in this room. I think the commission is significant enough that it could withstand an expansion by as many as 2 members, but phrasing it as 9 to 11 doesn't require, it only requires 9. So at least would give council and the administration the opportunity to expand. So that's my only thought. Other than that, I recommend these changes. Are there any last call to debate on TCR 2616? Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll on TCR 2616? Oh, we need a motion. We need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion we approve TCR 2616.
Need a second. We have a motion and a second. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Stramitis,
Yes.
Bolin,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Stossberg,
Abstain.
Kovic.
Yes.
That passes 501. Thank you very much. Let's now move to discussion of topics not on the docket. This is where I pass the gavel and bring up the resolution I put forward, which has not been placed as a case, and we probably should discuss that. But, Mr. Chair, I would like to, well, I guess I have to ask questions of staff now. Staff, can we vote on this resolution today?
I'm so sorry. I was trying to figure out the vote from the last. Can you repeat your question?
Okay, well, I put forward a resolution to discuss the parking report. Can we vote on this resolution today if it's under discussion of topics not on the docket?
Yeah, of course. If you make a motion, if the body makes and seconds a motion, you can vote on it tonight.
All right, so we can, just like with this previous resolution, we can hear it as a resolution.
Correct.
All right. I'd like to move, it doesn't have a number, so can you give me a number?
Yes, but
I have it as TCR 26XX.
you don't need to move anything unless you're making the motion right now.
I am making the motion right now.
Okay, sorry. You passed the gavel. I'm catching up. I'm so sorry. Do we have a number?
It's okay.
The resolution number would be 26-17.
Okay. I'd like to move approval of resolution TCR 2617, formerly known as TCR 26XX.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. I hope all of you had a chance to read your packet. This basically says that it is our duty to oversee, where does it say it? To make recommendations on public parking policy, including but not limited to pricing, hours of operation, additional removal of parking supply or parking spaces, changes to city code, changes to applicable city plans, enforcement procedure, or any other aspect of parking management policy. And also that the commission should coordinate, supervise, and when necessary, approve transportation-related studies, plans, consultant reports, activities, programs, and projects. So this report is right up our alley, but it was commissioned before this commission existed. At any rate, in addition to the fact that we have an obligation to produce an annual report of our own, which is part of this resolution, the report is something that we should be weighing in on. And so I've prepared a simple slideshow putting up the recommendations made in the report for us to discuss here. And I'm going to connect now. Let me see here. Share. I have to find my slideshow. One second, please. Okay, can everybody see the screen? Let me go to play. Okay. So just to begin, there's nothing in this slideshow that isn't a document that's already available to commissioners, except for the recommendations we'll talk about here now. Anyway, this is the, oh wait, it's not going. Okay, we'll just start like this. Each of you has received a copy of the comprehensive policy passed by the Bloomington Parking Commission in 2022. It's printed in front of you. It's also available on the appropriate city website. And it's just a reminder of the policies that the Parking Commission, which is a predecessor commission to this body, came up with in 2022 and reaffirmed in 2024. I only say it now because this resolution calls for us to look at the Walker report through the lens of the comprehensive plan, the transportation plan, and this policy. So here are the 12 recommendations made by Walker. I think that most of them are pretty good. Some of them deserve a rethinking. And I wanted to go over each one, but I'm going to make a motion at the end of this presentation summarizing my recommendations and asking you to endorse them or amend them or reject them. So let's start with the first one.
Can I ask a point of order?
Yeah.
I read the resolution as creating a process by which the commission would make recommendations about the Walker report. But are you suggesting that adoption of this resolution would endorse the specific findings you're presenting now?
Adoption of a motion would adopt those findings. The resolution says the commission shall give its opinion of the overall quality and merit of the report with a specific focus on it as a template for filling the commission's duty under BMC 212-070-04. And then it says it shall review for its endorsement each of the recommendations made by Walker in the report.
Got it. I was reading that as like a future tense, so shall review for its endorsement, and that the task force would maybe be responsible for proposing to the commission for adoption at like a future meeting those recommendations. So I just misunderstood maybe the intent, and I'm a little if I'm
I would find that acceptable.
We didn't have these your proposed findings in advance of right now, correct?
And I have not shown the findings yet, and I can stop here and yeah, I mean, I believe that the commission should weigh in on the recommendations. I'm fine with taking the time to do it. The only concern I have is that this report is going to be presented to council the first week of August, and I don't know what's appropriate for, again, we didn't oversee the production of this report. I want to make sure that council knows that we didn't. So I'm not sure how long after that council should hear the commission's recommendations on it. I thought it'd be appropriate to do so now while we had a slow docket at the very least, I'd like to discuss the recommendations as an advance. I can just tell you my opinions. But I'm also happy to defer to a later meeting. But keeping in mind that we don't have an August meeting, is that correct? We don't schedule a regular session in August because of budgets?
We do not have a regular hearing scheduled for August. There is a planning session scheduled for the 18th, 17th?
Okay.
Oh, 24th, thank you. I'm thinking of September. September 17th is the one. But
So
yes.
the next opportunity we'd have to give our official opinion would be the September meeting.
And sorry to continue on this thread, but
No, not at all.
I'm not sure what, if anything, is being asked of the city council in the August meeting, or if it's simply a presentation. I don't know if Ms. Wall, if it's, yes, just a presentation? Okay, so recommendations from this commission that followed from that wouldn't necessarily be untimely, so to
Okay.
speak. Like, and to me, it'd be much better to, I mean, I don't mind walking through your recommendations, Commissioner Boland, if you'd like, as an item for discussion, but like, I think just my preference would be to have the ability to review them in advance, to come prepared to make any recommended adjustments at a future meeting, so.
I would be happy to, that's fine with me. I'd be happy to present these only as my opinions and not ask members to vote on it today. But the resolution is written so that it doesn't specifically say that the commission shall give its opinion with this
Right, it
resolution.
doesn't set a date. It
Yeah.
sort of anticipates a future set of, a future opinion and endorsements.
Okay, so
That's how I read it.
I will stop the presentation there and pick up on it in a second. I just want to say that Section 2 calls for the formation of a task force, or let's call it a committee. We've debated these terms a lot over the years. A subset of members of this body, plus select members of staff who have relevant experience towards the commission's obligation to produce an annual report on parking. So that's the gist of it. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions before I go into my own recommendations, which I can give in the debate portion.
Any questions for Mr. Volan?
Okay, question.
Mr. Kopic?
I have a question. Should we not deal with the resolution first and then go to the recommendations, your presentation on the recommendations?
Well, based on what Commissioner Flaherty has just said, what I'm going to suggest is that we pass, in the course of passing the resolution, I can give my take on the recommendations for future consideration, but it's just something to inform you and not something I'm asking you to vote on at this time.
Other questions for Mr. Volan?
Yeah. This commission or the task force, do you have a concept so much of how often it would meet? It's an annual meeting. Is that a single annual meeting with staff, or is this something that would take multiple meetings?
It's a great question. The short of it is that it took the Parking Commission a lot of time to produce the report, more time than it had, and it fell behind to the point where it got stuck in 2019. So it's not trivial. Walker Parking has done an extraordinary amount of work. So we have to be practical about what can and can't be done, but the ordinance does call for more detail than was provided by Walker. And so it's got to be a joint effort between commissioners and city staff, and perhaps outside contractors if necessary. We've got to figure out how much it would cost to do it. And so it's probably going to take several meetings before we determine a course of action.
Okay.
I don't think it's a one annual meeting.
Okay. And then would those meetings hypothetically, would they be open to the public, or I assume they'd be closed, or?
I mean, that's a very good question that's fraught. Basically, any sub-body is a public body and has to meet according to open door law. So yes, they would be public meetings.
Mr. Flaherty?
Thank you. First, I appreciate the attention you're bringing to one of the duties of the commission, which is to produce or oversee an annual analysis of parking asset management. And it includes, but is not limited to, a variety of things related to costs, utilization, parking data analytics, and recommended policy changes. You're quite right that the commission, the former parking commission, did have a hard time producing such reports in a timely fashion. And in my mind, like part of the language here about producing or overseeing, and some of the broader ideas in the Walker consultant report and in past conversations we've had, was to get to a point where we have the data tools to relatively simply produce a consistent set of metrics over time, every year, year over year, so that we can analyze those trends. And then the primary role of this body would be to, in conversation with our parking services staff, possibly other engineering or planning and transportation staff, consider the policy dimensions and make recommendations on the policy dimensions. And so I guess it gave me a little bit of pause reading in the resolution, just to begin production of the annual analysis of parking mentioned above. It sort of like a little bit implies to me that the task force would be the ones producing it. Maybe that's not wrong, but I'm wary of trying to recreate what was done in the Parking Commission versus figuring out how to do this in a sustainable way. And so, so what are your thoughts? I have another point I want to dig into, but what are you aligned with my thinking there? Like, what are your thoughts?
I am. I mean, I suffered many a lonely night trying to process several million parking transactions in my poor wheezing database. And I know how laborious it can be with the wrong tools. And this is also talking as long as 7 years ago or more. Our technology has advanced since then. It should be, as you say, relatively easier now to produce a report that would meet the standards of the ordinance. I do want to point out that the commission made its effort to develop reports with no support whatsoever. While the commission got raw data from the administration, there was no money contributed for outside consultants. There was no staff helping produce the report. The commission tried to do it by itself, and that's not tenable. So we have to find a process that everybody can live with, and yet be able to get the data that we need to make rational decisions, like how much should we be charging for parking on the street, in the garages, how often should we adjust it. We can't do that without hard data. And also, where is the money going? Where does the money flow from? Where does it flow to? What parts of the system are break even or generating excess revenue? Which ones are net expenses? So these are all things that should interest everyone, particularly members of this body.
A follow up on that front, is that okay, or do you want to? I can save it for another round.
Yeah, I'd like to take a bite out of the apple. I share these concerns about the workload. Mr. Volan, we have the vendor still here. Would you like to ask them if you just gave a list of things you might like in the annual report? Would you like to hear if these products might help us with the?
I would like to ask both
report?
vendors a very specific question, since you're passing me the opportunity to ask the question, which is, can the report provide visualization of usage of given meters by block? Whoever likes to go first, please come up and tell us.
Thank you, Councilman. Yes, so we've
Could you just
actually
restate your name and your company?
Braxton Ratliff, IPS Group. We've actually already stood up an instance where a lot of the issues and a lot of the concerns that you're talking about right now, we actually have that data flown into our platform to where we can look at block faces and see the revenue coming in. We're able to ingest citation data from your enforcement operation. We're able to ingest any mobile payment provider out there's data as well. Yeah, to your point, we're able to provide, starting tomorrow with our meter data as the current meter provider, all of the support that you would need to stand up this, this report, to stand up this commission and help you make decisions.
I might ask a follow-up question.
Sure.
How long have you been able to do that?
So IPS, we tried to do it on our own, and we actually went out and acquired a company, one of the top data aggregation companies in the industry, a company by the name of Populous. And so they've been able to do it for quite some time. So it's been a really good thing for us. But yeah, we were able to go back and get all your historical data. I don't know if that's more in the line of what you're asking. So the Walker study is nice. The parking studies are nice. But what we're able to provide is, in a sense, an ongoing Walker study. We can provide the ability to do predictive rates, or what does the rates look like when IU is playing, it's a football school now, I guess, or when IU is playing, whoever. I mean, we're able to put that predictability in there, again, to help that report and help you make decisions. So,
Very good, thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
Josh Dieter with Arrive. Yes, thank you for the follow-up question. So similar to what Braxton mentioned, we can also supply very similar data in terms of visualization on an annual basis for your occupancy. If the commission allows, I do have an example I'd be happy to leave behind, so you have a handout in front of you. But with that said, we do have that current ability actually also loaded in your current Park Mobile dashboard that does allow for historical data, live view, as well as future forecasting, as well as with our proposed Insights tool that does allow for true vehicle capture in terms of satellite imagery, LiDAR scanners, and et cetera, that will allow for what my colleague Matt mentioned earlier of all vehicles, whether they are paid, unpaid, time of day, to provide a true holistic approach to your occupancy inventory and planning for the future on your street faces.
And I don't need a verbal answer, but I trust that both vendors can integrate IPS meter data with Park Mobile meter data. Is that correct? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so to return, to take the mic back, I think one process I see here is to defer this conversation until one of these vendors is online, and for this cycle, work with the Walker report as something we oversee rather than reproduce. And then as we see these new reporting tools, maybe for the next cycle, we'll have an easier and different process that might be manageable by a commission in a way that it wasn't previously with the Parking Commission.
Well, I think that the Walker report goes beyond questions of equipment. That's one section of the report. There are other recommendations that I think are that the commission needs to be thinking about now and not wait till next year.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Flaherty.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, so following up on the role of the Walker Consultants report, my understanding of that from prior conversations with Michelle Wall when she was here, and just what the report covers, is that it's not something that we anticipate producing every year, nor is it the exact same thing as what the commission is charged with. It's like a companion but distinct piece. It's analyzing some different things, making a set of recommendations. We might do something like that every, 5 to 10 years, but we still want to track the data trends annually to understand, how to make policy adjustments. I guess, seeking again, just is that how you're understanding, Commissioner Boland, like the role of that report? I feel like there was something in the text of the resolution that made me think otherwise, but I could be wrong. Maybe just how we've discussed it.
I should say that, just for the sake of history, we first commissioned a report in 2007 from Walker. We had a 2012 follow-up study. The Parking Commission commissioned a report in 2018 and went with Desmond out of Chicago, and now the city has hired Walker again in 2026.
Sorry, just to clarify, it was this section 1A that says, in reference to the Walker Consulting Report, specific focus on it as a template for fulfilling the Commission's duty to produce or oversee an annual analysis of parking. So that's the language that gave me pause, this idea that the Walker Consulting Report is a template for something that would be produced each year. because I understood it conceptually as something quite distinct from what we would be doing on an annual basis.
Okay, I see your point, and I will just say the phrase is with a specific focus on it as a template, not the template, and that it's certainly a good starting
Or
point.
foundation, perhaps.
It's a foundation. We can change it if you like, but a template simply means that why would we want to start with something else? We could start with that report and with prior Parking Commission reports in creating something new. So, I mean, I'm agnostic about it. I'm happy to change it if you like to a different word as a foundation. Template, I don't think there's that much difference. Up to you.
Okay. I might make a quick motion to replace the word template with foundation in section 1A of the resolution. Do I have a second?
I
Is there
second
a
it.
second? All right. We'll just do a voice vote. All in favor?
I think
Aye.
we do voice vote, yeah. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay.
I got a question.
Mr. Cobb.
Thank you. What if the report's done by somebody other than Walker? Should we have more generic?
Well, this simply calls for the commission to weigh in on the report produced this year by Walker.
So we're just talking about this report?
Yes.
Okay.
Further comments?
Questions?
Questions? Mr. Boland. All right. Seeing none, what do we, all right. Any comments from the public on this? Mr. Seaboard.
Point of order, we might separately want to invite staff comment or perspective
Thank you.
from public.
All
We
right.
could start
This-
there and then
this-
public. So-
Okay. Mr. Seaboard, as staff.
Sure, thank you. Andrew Seabour, city engineer. I just appreciating the questions, appreciating the discussion, recognizing that in August there is an intention for a mayor's office report to city council of the Walker study. I think the intention is that is just a report similar to what you received previously. Just to raise awareness to what the report is saying. It's not an endorsement of recommendations, it's just here is what Walker's report is including. Specific to this resolution, I think the main thing I wanted to raise, and I think tried to in an email before, is maybe focusing on section 2 and just what the commission's duties are to produce or oversee. And I guess fundamentally those are two very different things that are, as staff, I want to have clarity on what the expectations of each of us are. And I will just admit I was not a part of the parking commission, but generally my expectation would be that the administration and staff is in the best position to produce reports, and commissions generally are in a great position to oversee reports and review them. But if commission members want to form a committee and do the work that staff then no longer needs to do, that also has some appeal, but I do just honestly worry about what those meetings would look like from a staffing perspective, from a minute-taking perspective, from getting commissioners at those meetings routinely, and just imagining this commission 10 years from now with maybe very different members, and is it fair to expect of them to do what I would generally expect of staff? So just that's one of the fundamental questions in my mind, that just really hoping for clarity and having some real concern or pause about what Section 2 really means and the implications of it. So just wanted to highlight those for the consideration of the group, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Seaboard. Mr. Volin.
I just wanted to ask your opinion of Bloomington Code 212074G, which says the commission is required to, quote, produce or oversee an annual analysis of parking asset management. I was quoting from the ordinance.
Yeah.
So I agree with you that produce or oversee is a little ambivalent, but I guess all I'm saying is we've been at this for a year and we haven't even begun the discussion. of producing the report, and I feel it's at least incumbent on us to push the question. And so, at the very least, what this body can do is name 3 members to a committee that can then meet with staff to focus on this task. It doesn't have to have the concern of every member at every meeting. And that was my goal. So does that alleviate any concerns you have as staff?
I think I still have the fundamental question of whose role it is to actually write and do the report. I think that is a question I just don't have clarity on, and which is a result of the code that formed this commission. So if there's an opportunity to clarify it, that would be helpful. But it leaves a very divergent track there. Shoot, I'm honestly forgetting a part of your question. I feel like.
If I may, I would suggest that it is asking a lot of volunteer commissioners to produce a report. Some of us veterans of that commission can tell you that it was basically impossible. We did as many as we could before we conked out. So we need staff's help. There's no question about that. I also, though, think that commissioners can and should be involved in the writing of at least high-level overviews of the data that might be provided by staff or outside contractors. So it's going to take a lot of heads in the same room with different expertises for us to figure it out, but that's what we have to do. We're the ones who have to make you do it.
I guess maybe I disagree in some, as a commission, staff will write a report that I think is intended as guided by the code. I think this commission has been now for about a month or a year and staffed. I think the annual report is something staff in the background have already started to talk about and strategize about how to develop it. This is a new commission. We're getting very much up and running. We also haven't talked about an annual safety report, which is also something we need to do. But those things are in the works, in the background, and a reason the parking study or annual parking report also is behind is because we've had this Walker study that has, as you know, has experienced some delays too, and we couldn't do 2 things at once. So those are very much in motion and intended to come to this commission, and no matter who is writing, will be discussed for sure.
You're making a point for me in that we could and should have been calling for this anytime in the existence of the commission. That the Walker study was being done is a great convenience, but it didn't change our obligation to produce that report. And having been commissioned in existence for literally 13, 14 months now, we should have produced one by now. So I'm fine with what you're saying. Just that I think it's our obligation as a commission to require that the report be produced by whatever means we must collectively. Thank you.
Other feedback from staff? We'll move on to public comment. If anyone is in the room or online who would like to comment on this. Seeing none, come back to the commission for further comment. Mr. Flaherty?
Thank you. I generally support the resolution. I do think it's worthwhile for the commission to, so looking at section 1 first, to weigh in on the recommendations of the Walker Consultants report. I think that can be done, following this meeting. It sounds like our chair would like to put forth a set of recommendations, and if we can do that in a way that's timely for review and input prior to the next meeting, we could make any adjustments, vote on them, and forward recommendations then. I think that's worthwhile and a good idea. Section 2, I actually do like the term task force. Commissioner Rowland started saying committee, but I think task force is more of a not a standing thing that will last in perpetuity, but rather like we're getting it started for the purpose of figuring out this exact thing of what does it mean for the role of the commission in its duties to oversee or produce a report. I agree that the data analytics piece in particular is far too much to expect a volunteer commission to be able to do. I'm a little agnostic on like the writing of a report. I'm envisioning a relatively brief report. Some of the reports produced by the Parking Commission in the past actually were, at the end of the day, the synthesized bit was relatively short, 4 or 5 pages, and I'm imagining we're going to get to a point where we have a template of a report and a given set of metrics that we produce each year. We could make adjustments to those as needed, of course, but it would kind of give you that template. That we use our data tools from vendors like those here before us to produce. And then I think, again, it could be a commission task, or maybe it is a committee task to do the writing, or that could be staff, and then it's presented, and this body can then, propose amendments essentially to a report brought by staff. I do think that if this is already underway to some degree for the year 2026, that we should start collaborating sooner than later. Like it'd be better to have some input on the formation of the report rather than like waiting for a final draft from staff to be the first, review in the first instance. So I think this task force can serve that purpose as well. So those are my thoughts. I think it's there are some questions outstanding. There are some things to figure out. I was sympathetic to, I think, everything Director Seabour said. I don't think there's strong misalignment there in my mind, but I think it's going to take a few meetings anyway to sort it out. Thanks.
Thank you.
I think those are good comments from Flaherty. I agree. Again, I would like to formally adopt kind of some of the recommendations from the Walker study in Section 1. I like Section 1 of this resolution. Section 2, I'm like very opposed to creating a task force. I kind of see this commission as wonderful because it eliminated the separation of subcommittees and different meetings and groups and things. And I would like, I don't know if there's a way to do this in the resolution, some kind of confirmation that this would indeed be a limited time task force and would not be an ongoing thing. And I would think even given how things can get drawn out and staff time can be kind of over-accessed, maybe even like a time limit of like the task force will exist until this date. Some type of deadline, I don't know.
Thank you. I'll give some feedback then. I think there is a real tension to resolve about produce versus oversee. I think we should have a goal of removing one of those verbs. It sounds like everyone here had some concerns about the production part of it. I also have concerns about Section 2. To go back to the Parking Commission and the trouble they had producing the report, those were 11 people who were there, 9 to 11, to focus specifically on parking. Now, we have a more diverse group here by intention. People come here with background in public transportation, with accessibility, with cycling. To find 3 people who have the time and expertise to really focus on producing a detailed parking report is going to be even more of a challenge here than what you described as a nearly impossible task of the Parking Commission. So I think we'll probably be well served to resolve this language in favor of having our role to be oversee and then work out the details of how that is produced. I agree with Mr. Seabour that generally the staff is in a good position to implement reports. Thank you.
Okay, first to address some of the comments I've heard. I don't like the word task force. A lot of people don't like the word committee, but the simple purpose of a committee is to create an informal, smaller group to help develop recommendations to the full body. I wanted to call it a task force because it didn't need to be as formal as this body, and it needed to be able to have open and frank conversations between commissioners and members of staff. So that was my only goal in calling for a task force. I still think it's the right idea. I do agree with Mr. Flaherty that it can and should be limited in scope, that it's meant to help create the first one, and hopefully that future reports will be more easily produced by staff and overseen by the commission. But as to what should be in the report, if it's up to staff alone to decide what should be in the report, then effectively the commission is not overseeing the report. They're simply receiving something that staff decides. it should be a conversation between both, that both are necessary to produce the report. And I'll remind everyone that the Parking Commission, as far back as 2017, was all but starved of resources by the administration whose mayor vetoed it. So this is a commission that has been created between council and mayor. There's a lot more agreement on it. It's more substantial. I disagreed with the elimination of the Parking Commission for this reason, that it was that many more people devoted to, there's plenty to talk about just with parking. But this is what the city has decided they need to do to create this commission that has a broader scope. And so within this new paradigm, we have to figure out how to produce this report. It's just as important as it used to be. It's just now part of a bigger commission. With that, I was going to take this opportunity to give people a preview of what my recommendations for the report would be. At the very least, you can think about your opinions of it, and we can vote on it in September. These are, again, just my opinions and not the opinions of the commission. I'll start with, there are 12, you can see on the screen here, this is figure 1 of the report. It gives 12 recommendations, 3 each under organization, policy, operations, technology, and communications, branding, and wayfinding. The preview is I endorse 8 of the 12. 1 I am concerned about, and I give it a yellow flag, and 3 I oppose. So let's talk about them each. The first is this recommends transferring all citation appeals duties from the city clerk's office to the Parking Services Division. Briefly, the clerk is already essentially a municipal court. The Walker study says that in another city municipal court might be the Court of Appeal. I think we already have that system, and I don't think this is necessary. The fact that Parking Services is no longer in City Hall makes it a customer service issue, because people who go there to appeal a ticket finally have to go to another office. But that's something that can be addressed by a different recommendation in the study. The second organization recommendation was to develop a mission for parking services for the division that is supported across city departments. I agree with it and would love to go into more detail at a later time. The third is adopt a data-driven approach to parking operations and management with recurring transparency of key performance indicators. I also heartily endorse this item. Under policy, the first item was implement on-street metered parking rate changes, utilizing a zone-based system considering high and lower demand areas. This has been overdue for a decade. We can't do this fast enough. I emphatically endorse this recommendation. The second one was to implement parking rate changes off-street. The garages are not a vacuum. The garages and lots and the meters together create a single system. This was the point of the Parking Commission's report, that we treat the system unitarily and not as separate silos. The third was to reduce on-street paid parking enforcement hours. This seemed to be a customer service style reaction, but consistently we've seen in the city that parking after 5 p.m. is as robust, if not more, than parking during the day. And that people who ask for this, I mean, no one has ever wanted to pay for parking. So it's just not something that I would recommend. Under operations technology, transition to multi-space on-street meter pay stations operated using pay-by-plate. I don't know whether the era of the single-space meter is over in Bloomington. Perhaps at handicap spaces, they might need to stay. But I, for one, endorse the idea that we certainly need to upgrade the technology we're using. It was used when we bought it in 2013, and I can only imagine the horror stories that Parking Services has about maintaining them. The second item, upon moving to a pay-by-plate, a multi-space meter system, update the enforcement system to mobile license plate recognition technology and transition to digital permits. The problem with LPR technology, and this is why I've flagged this as a yellow, is the same category that we've just seen debated in the city with flock cameras. The privacy issues are significant. I don't have an opinion on this. I just know that political concerns may hold this up, and it's something that we need to think about. But I don't think we can think about it outside of a greater discussion about city privacy policies, which transcends parking. And finally, in operations technology, replace the existing off-street gated parking equipment for the same reasons as the meters before. They're in need of a refresh. Under communications, branding, and wayfinding, create a recognizable parking system logo and brand identity separate from the city's brand identity. The issue I have with this is not the idea itself, it's that anything that, I mean, if we're having trouble with the communications and wayfinding, and this isn't done as part of a large, I think that there's a body outside of parking, outside of any department, perhaps it's out of the mayor's office, that should be, it shouldn't be reinventing the wheel in a different silo. It should be done as part of an overall city refresh, wayfinding refresh. It can't just be done by parking services specifically. Number two, C2 was develop and launch a marketing campaign. Absolutely, we need more of this, not less. And finally, installing informational signage at key locations, the same thing. So of the 12, I recommended 8. I'm opposed to 3 and have concerns, believe that the commission should be concerned about 1. And that's, I'm going to ask my colleagues to do the same thing with this report, to come up with your opinions about each of these recommendations. They're extremely relevant to our mission, and we should be, I think this is what council expects of us. So with that, I would ask for approval of this resolution. And I can just finally say with regard to section 2, I don't want to limit such a body to 3 members. If there are other members of the body who would like to sit in on the task force, you are welcome to. I'm simply trying to save some commissioners' work, not trying to exclude them from this important discussion. But it needs to happen now and not wait till the September meeting, which is 2 months from now. We need to be getting moving on producing this report. Thank you.
Thank you. I think now we're looking for a motion or more public comment.
I think it was introduced with a motion to adopt, so I think the question is pending if we're ready to take a vote on it.
Okay. I'll ask the commission any further comment before we vote on this.
I will have one
Sure.
brief follow-up, which is that I heard things that I agreed with from other commissioners about, you know, if we had an August session or if we had more time, I would favor setting a time limit and a narrow scope for the task force for the purpose of basically helping us define the first version of this annual report and what we want it to look like. So that's my intent in supporting the resolution. But I think because we don't have an August session and would it face 2 months of delay to, you know, hold on the resolution and make such amendments to it or edits to it, I'm still in favor of moving forward tonight. So just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Other comments? All right. Is there a motion to adopt Commissioners Volin Resolution TCR 2617 as written?
I'll make a motion we adopt resolution.
I'm so sorry. Wait, it's not as written. It was amended previously.
Okay,
And
as
you've
amended.
already have a motion and a second, so I just need to call roll when you're ready.
Oh, okay.
All right, then. Roll call?
Bolin,
Yes.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Stossberg,
Yes.
Kopic,
Yes.
Stromaitis.
Yes.
All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
And with that, we will return the gavel back to Mr. Volin.
Thank you, Mr. Stossberg. Let's now move to.
Can I actually,
yeah.
can I ask another point of order?
Yes.
Which is whether the chair intends to name members of the task force and if that needs to be done in a meeting versus outside of it.
I was going to do it just a second, since the resolution has been adopted. Before I name members, I'd like to ask if there's any volunteers.
Sure.
Anybody who desperately wants to be on this task force? Am I seeing any hands? Over here? All right. I'm going to name myself, Councilmember or Commissioner Flaherty, and because he's not here, Commissioner Binder, who was also on the Parking Commission before. So if anybody else wants to be on it, please let me know. Let's move on now to the update of the local motion grant from staff. Who is here to present that?
Hello, I'm David Brantes, the Alternative Transportation Coordinator.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Just to refresh everyone's memory on the local motion grant program, this is an annual cycle where community organizations submit a proposal or project idea that promotes walking, biking, rolling in the community. Applicants provide to us a short narrative describing its impact and how they intend to implement that. So there will be a timeline of how they will complete their small project over the next year and then report back to us. A 10% cash match is required, so they have some skin in the game there. 2025 awardees, you may recall, we had 5, splitting a pool of $8,000. So the Bloomington Community Bike Project the Monroe County Public Library and Summit Hill, they all received $2,000 each. And then, as you can see up there, the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA got 2 more. They each got $1,000. So a couple examples of what we're talking about here. The Summit Hill, for example, they had a bike repair station installed on site with them. The Boys and Girls Club, they recently sent a couple pictures of their Club Riders program in operation, and then like the YMCA had Healthy Kids Day event that this funding went towards. So that's sort of the scope of what we're looking at here. To give you a preview of the 2026 cycle, we hope to send out a press release sometime in August announcing the call for projects. And then the tentative timeline is that we would bring those to the October Transportation Commission for your review. So tentatively, those dates that are important to applicants are October 5th would be the application deadline, and then they would submit to us materials for their presentation by October 19th to be included in the packet. And then October 26th, each for the Transportation Commission, each organization would have a 5-minute presentation to explain what their proposal would be, and then it would be up to commission members from there to decide how to allocate funds and ask any questions of those organizations. So with that, just to summarize, most everything is staying the same as last year, but please do take notes, relay any comments to staff. If you have ideas of ways to do it different in 2027, questions about the process, we're happy to answer that. So that's the end of my update there, and please let us know if you have any questions for us.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the local motion grant awards? To my right? To my left? Thank you for the report. Much obliged. Let's now move to the Safe Streets and Roads for All SS4A annual report. Who's presenting this one? I see Mr. Duncan.
Hello, my name is Hank Duncan, Safe Streets Program Manager. As part of the Safe Streets for All action plan adopted in 2024, City staff is tasked with preparing an annual report highlighting progress made toward Vision Zero. This report will be presented to the Transportation Commission and City Council. Before we develop the city's first report later in the year, we want to talk to this commission about the performance measures included in it. Within the staff memo, there is a list of performance measures we plan to include in the report, and as Transportation Commissioners, we request that you review the measures to be included in the report and make suggestions as to any other items that should be included in the final report.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were
Yeah, I have one.
Would you like to ask a question, Mr. Strasburg? I'm so sorry, I completely.
I would, yes. The metrics are great. Do you anticipate the annual report will include maps? For example, I'd like to see the map of the high injury network shrinking over time as we approach 0 miles of high injury network.
So the high injury network is the network of the highest percentile, or of the streets with the highest percentile of fatal and severe injuries in Bloomington. So it will never shrink unless we get to 0. The streets will just change, and the numbers required to make it onto the high injury network will just decrease.
So it could work if the framing was not a percentile, but some sort of absolute number of crashes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Further questions to my left? No. To my right, Commissioner Flaherty.
Yeah, thank you. Will there be like geospatial analysis as part of this? Like, do you think some of these metrics will be presented in that way, or will it be purely like aggregate numbers?
You know, that is a good question. I'm not sure yet. We've been looking at reports from other cities. Indianapolis just published their first SS4A report earlier this year. As you and Commissioner Strasburg said, maps and geospatial analyses and visualizations, that we would like that to be a part of the plan. I can't commit to that yet just because I don't know what that entails yet, but we would like to.
Thank you.
Further questions? Let me ask one first. These are the reason I was verklempt there for a minute is because I was looking in the ordinance creating this commission as to whether there was the same obligation that Mr. Seaborg pointed out for us to oversee the SS4A report, and there does not seem to be. Is this the first such report has it not been produced yet?
Yes, correct.
Okay. What is your rough timetable for getting it done?
Part of it depends on the performance measures that you all would like to be included in the report.
Right.
Right now, it's late July. We would like to do it by mid to late fall, sometime before the end of this year. But I think around October was that happy medium time that we're expecting it. But again, things can change. But sometime this year.
Okay. How many of these items here on this list are hard to get, easy to get? Do you have them? I mean, do they some of them require more work than others?
Sure. So a lot of these are easy to get because we have a great crash dashboard and crash data provided by the state. There will be other items, and some of these items there is an element to subjectivity. For example, the very last one, dollar amount invested in infrastructure improvements along the high priority network as a percentage of all transportation projects. I would argue that just about all of the city's infrastructure projects include some Safe Streets element. That could be as little as adding in, as a repaving project that adds in a curb extension or a curb ramp, or a signal replacement that changes the geometry just a little bit. The challenge on our end will be how much of that money that went to the car-centric maintenance project, how much of that went to the safety improvements as well. So that one may be the most difficult one because we will be going through each of the projects and looking at the individual items or even making an estimate as to how much was actually made towards that safety improvement.
How might you go about distinguishing, from one item, how much of it is safety related, how much is not safety related? I mean, like, how do you? Is there a way? Is it arbitrary? Is it?
Yeah, that is one of the questions I have right now. What I would like to do is go through the cost that engineering incurred throughout those different projects, and I'd like to see what the labor and materials costs are for those individual safety improvement items. But I'm not sure that exists for every project because it is under one contract and labor is labor.
Okay. Further questions, Mr. Strasburg?
Yeah. We want numbers that in 5 years and 10 years we can have useful trend lines, and that works the best if we put the right numbers on there now.
Absolutely.
Bloomington seems to be doing a good job at growing. So we want to be able to show progress even as we're putting more cars on the road, perhaps more cyclists. What I'm not seeing here are some relative numbers that might scale over time, like number of injuries versus miles traveled, or number of injuries versus the population of Bloomington, so that if we grow by 2%, our crashes grow by 1%, we could show that we're making progress, at least in a relative sense.
That is a great idea, and that's something that NDOT does a good job of. I don't know if we have or are capable of getting number of total miles traveled throughout the city of Bloomington, but we do have traffic counts. For example, Walnut Street has an average daily traffic volume of about 13,000 motor vehicles per day. If we know that there are X number of fatal severe injury crashes today versus 10 years from now when traffic numbers have gone up, which we can calculate, compared to the FSIs in that year, that can be that
Right.
scalable number that you're thinking of.
And maybe population could be a proxy for
Absolutely.
are we keeping our communities safe? Do you think mode share is an interesting number or set of numbers? Like, are we helping if we shift more people from single-family occupancy to other modes?
Oh, for sure. And that is absolutely part of the goal of what we in Planning and Transportation do. It is not just about improving the existing streetscape network, it's about improving the network so that mode shift occurs and we get more people walking, more people rolling, more people using the bus rather than driving their car, because most crashes occur by people driving their car.
Thank you.
Now in terms of getting those figures, right now we use census data, which is every decade, and most, if not all, of the questions revolve around commuting, going to work. What percentage of the time do you bike going to work? And that's a part of it, but that's not all transportation. We also use mode shares to do things other than going to work. So the census is a number that we can use. I'm not sure if it's the number that we should use.
Thank you.
Further questions to my left?
Yeah, thank you.
You're to my right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Let's go to second round
Other
questions to my right. Mr. Flaherty.
Thanks. Yeah, similarly, I think, I know this is the first report, but thinking ahead, we'll want to, I think, include like longitudinal trends. So like, how does this, how do these numbers change over time? I think the absolute number is useful, but in some of these metrics, like having, relative to what, would definitely be useful. Even just as a percentage, the number of crashes involving speeding or distracted driving, like of all crashes, what percentage, Maybe those things are planned already, but just looking at the list, it says number. Similar number of action items completed from the I guess the countermeasures policy roadmap, right? Maybe we only get, so like also the total, right? So as we have 2, 3, 4 years down the line, like the number completed that year, the total to date, so we can kind of monitor those things. Again, that's probably a little more forward-looking than just this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think the VMT piece, I'm trying to tease out in my head. Like, we want to reduce VMT. I think this is what you're saying. And so we want to reduce VMT, even if we have a reduction also in the absolute number of crashes that result in death or serious injury. It could look like, if we're comparing it to VMT, it could look like it's actually like worsening, even while we're making progress on both absolute deaths or serious injuries and mode shift. And I don't know. My gut would be that population is probably the right comparison figure. Do you know, is there best practice, I guess, in the field?
Not that I know of. That is one reason that I'd like to look at these other Safe Street reports,
Mm-hmm.
because this is a relatively new trend of putting out these annual reports, and it's a good trend, but again, because it's the first time we're doing this, we don't necessarily know what are the best metrics to use, and I would like to look at a city that has done a report like this for at least 5 or 10 years to see what are the trends that you're asking about, because I don't have the answers to those questions right now.
Okay. I wonder about looking to Europe as well, just because they've tended to be quite far ahead of the U.S. in many instances around design safety interventions. So,
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Strasburg.
I'm going to go ahead and propose something which might be out of scope, but including non-human fatalities. One of the kinds of crashes I looked at was deer crashes. We have more crashes with deer than cyclist or pedestrian. They cost about $10,000 on average each, and they'd be great to prevent. And they're also, there's mitigations for them. Those are mostly in the county. On the interstates, our biggest. We do have some in the city, and I don't know exactly, which ones make sense to mitigate in the city, but
Sure, thanks.
it'd be fun to look at.
Any other? Let me take a crack at this. First of all, I want to endorse that specifically. Number of crashes involving deer ought to be measured in this city. Secondly, I wonder if you have considered upping the frequency by which you do simple traffic counts of streets in the city, because over time when I've looked at traffic counts, I've often had to deal with a 15 or 20-year-old piece of data as the only indication of how much traffic there is there, and I feel like, can we do it more often? Can we get a more frequent standard for traffic counts across all streets in the city?
Sure. That is much more of an engineering-specific question because our engineering technician who does the traffic counts is in engineering, not in planning. I will say that he is out every week putting out new traffic counts, so the limitation is definitely on staff time, not on anything else. And because the city is working on so many new projects, for example, it could be repaving projects or corridor studies or traffic calming projects or potential speeding complaints from the public. There are about 300 total miles of city streets,
Right.
and it's just hard to get through all of them because there are a lot of them. And so I absolutely hear you. For example, I'm about to start working on the South Walnut Corridor study later this year. We don't have any traffic counts on it in the past decade or so, so it's not helpful to us. But that is just another example that we will go out there and do more traffic counts, but you're right, there are a lot of streets and a lot of locations on the streets as to where we should have traffic counts.
Well, to that end, and responding again to what Mr. Seabour asked in the previous item, would it be helpful if there was a task force or committee to advise you? I mean, how soon do you need us to respond to this? We don't have a regular meeting until the end of September. We can give you some ideas now, but maybe commissioners will have more ideas in the next few weeks. Can you give us a deadline for getting back to you with recommendations?
Sure. For recommendations, this was the only meeting that we were planning on speaking to you about this. But if you have ideas after this meeting, you absolutely have my contact information. You can email me and we can chat about these ideas. I would like to get started on this report next month, but as you can see, there are a number of action items or performance measures included already. And so if we add one a little bit later on, it's not going to delay the whole project.
Okay. I mean, maybe I can suggest an arbitrary date of, say, August 15th, that we can get back to you.
That's perfect.
With ideas. All right. So let me just direct commissioners to send any ideas on this to Mr. Duncan by August 15th. But yeah, it feels like traffic counts are the kind of thing that are bread and butter data that is it safe to say we can't afford to do more of them?
Right now, time is the constraint more than anything because of existing staff levels.
Mr. Strasburg.
Is it true there's some new technologies coming online, like everyone has a phone in their pocket, and I think Google knows like where you are all the time?
Sure.
And is selling some of this data? Is there a way, instead of installing more of these devices, we can buy it from a vendor who's already tracking where we are?
Yeah, so the city contracts with Placer AI, and that's a software I haven't worked much with, but they do have they do have a feature that includes traffic counts. I don't know, I haven't done a one-to-one comparison on the tube counts that city staff puts out versus their traffic counts based on cell phone data, but that does exist. And if we are looking for more traffic counts, that may be the answer, actually.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. Any final comments for Mr. Duncan on the SS4 annual report? And again, I don't see the specific call in the ordinance for there to be a oversight of this report, although I think Mr. Seabor's right, we should be overseeing it too, but that's a discussion for another time.
Just for clarification purposes, that recommendation or requirement lives in the safety action plan itself. It's one of the action items.
So it is an obligation of the Transportation Commission?
Yeah, this part of the recommendation was to create a Transportation Commission that would oversee this report.
All right, well then, do I need to form another task force now?
I think currently staff is comfortable without a task force, but if you all want to,
Okay.
but we're happy to check in with you frequently.
All right. Well, I'll poll the individual members over the next month or two and see if there's anybody interested in helping you with the report.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan.
Thank you.
Let's go now to general public comment on items not on the docket. We have a written submission. Is there any member of the public who would like to speak on an item that we have not talked about tonight? If so, please come to the podium, state your name. You'll have 3 minutes. If you are online, please use the raise hand function, and we'll call on you in due order. Please come to the podium, sign in, state your name. Again, if you're online, please use the raise hand function in Zoom.
Hi, I'm Jill Bird, and I've lived in Bloomington 50 years. I walk and bike all the time. And I feel like a lot of moves made by the city for traffic improvement are really detrimental to pedestrians and bicyclists. I'm not very happy with the bump outs on Rogers. I'm not very happy with some other bump outs. I know they're to calm traffic, but they slow traffic, and that makes for irate drivers. And irate drivers are less patient with pedestrians and bicyclists. And I feel like I am in more danger with some of the lane reductions and the slower, calmer traffic. Years ago, they were considering a change to the Rogers and 3rd Street intersection, and they did kind of a little mock-up. It was temporary, and it was adjusted the traffic for a few weeks, and the city and the community was able to get a real look at what truly happened with that calming device, and it wasn't good, so they never did it. And I was wondering if the city could move more towards that type of thing instead of jumping in and putting bump outs that I'm seeing problems with, and I don't know if other people are seeing problems with them also.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Is there anybody online who'd like to speak to an item that is not on the docket? Please use the raise hand function in Zoom. Is there anyone online? Last call for public comment, either in the room or online. General public comment. Seeing none, we come back to the commission for final notes. Our next meeting is what date?
The next planning session is August 24th. The next regular hearing is September 17th.
17th, is that early because of budgets?
September 17th is the next regular hearing session.
September 28th is the next
I'm
regular, yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So once again, August
24th.
August 24th is a planning
session. That'll
and
be in
then
McCloskey.
In
at
McCloskey
5:30.
room, and that's just planning, will be staffed by Planning and Transportation, and our next regular hearing is September 28th in this room. Any last final announcements? Mr. Flaherty.
It's sort of like, I guess, agenda-related, future agenda-related, and I'm curious about, we're having an increasingly large queue of items that that were brought before the commission, that the commission then acted on in some way, that are pending, and I'm worried about losing track of them or losing sight of them, and also, just time lag. I think staff capacity surely must dictate some of this at times, but I think just for the sake of future agendas and not losing track of actions previously taken by the commission, Like, could we include that as part of our packet, like a list of pending items that are not on the agenda, not action items?
I believe this is something we've discussed in a scheduling meeting.
I do want to observe that John Garcia was planning on attending tonight, and it is his prerogative. He is already planning to do that. If he was not sick tonight, he would have been here to provide that update as part of the discussion of topics not on the docket.
But we can make it like a part of our planning for meetings starting in September, keeping track of prior items that we're supposed to be keeping track of. Is that the idea?
That's what I was trying to communicate. Like if maybe it's just a standing part of agendas or packets that items that are pending, essentially, that are out for action of some kind and have yet to come back to us, not just for our own tracking as commissioners and for the public, but also for the, kind of, I guess, the record, so to speak, so that you can actually see these things over time. Yeah.
Staff do have a spreadsheet where we are tracking all of this information as part of our administrative duties for the commission. I will speak with the other liaisons about most sustainable way to move forward with that request.
I'll also add that was a thing that we were trying to start to do. You'll recall 2 meetings ago, I did it at the end of the meeting, and it is something we want to get back on track. Mr. Garzi was in that direction, but we could certainly post it somewhere.
Well, this is something we can talk about in scheduling meetings, right?
Sure.
Just planning for it. Okay.
Yeah, understood. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other final questions or comments? All right, with that, thanks, everyone. Our next meeting is August 24th in the McCloskey Room. It's a planning session. Until then, this meeting is adjourned.